YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy ConcisetheBarber, and in this video, I have a healthy comparison. I think everybody's been waiting on this to see what I have to say about it when it comes to the Wezteck clipper and the Andis Phat blade. Now, this mainly is just going to be about the blades. It has nothing to do with the machines in a sense, but I will talk about some of the pros and cons to which one you might like and everything like that. But we're going to get into this because I think it's a very important thing to understand what are the differences and the commonalities. So let's get into this video and let's see what I got to say about it.
CTB, you know who it is.
All right, so as we know, Wezteck is a newer clipper. I just did a concise review on these, and honestly, I said a lot of beautiful things about this clipper. I still use it till, this day. Nothing wrong with this thing. It does work very, very well. But I did want to compare it with the Andis Phat blade. Now, there's other blades like this as well, but if they have this same type of concept, it'll probably be the same information that I'm going to tell you. So let's talk about a few things and let's see which ones do you think is going to come out on top. Now, the Phat blade right now, you could probably get between $45 to $50 on some of the websites, but that's where that range. Now, a while ago, getting a Phat blade or a Phat Master was like one of the rarest things in the world, and they were going for like $400 and up. But now that we have it, $45 to $50 is the price of this blade. This blade by itself, they do not have that just yet. I think they are working on people just being able to get the blade. I'm going to give an estimate range. I was going to be like around 40 to 50, but I'm gonna say 40 to 60 due to the fact that if it does come with like this whole piece, I'm really not sure like price range wise. So I'm just going to say an estimate between 40 to 60. I think it's going to be a little bit competitive, but it might be a little bit more up on the Wezteck. I could be wrong though, so we shall see soon. I do want to talk about one of the main things about these two, which is the measurements. What are they able to do? So when you get the Phat blade, right now, some people probably got to the point they did some customization where they can get this guard to like 0 gap, but that's not the real point of the Phat blade. The Phat blade is more so a 1A to a 2, which means 3.2 millimeters to 6.3 millimeters. I just did a blade comparison video, so if y'all need to get that information, you'll see exactly what that is when it comes to adjustable blades. But anyway, this is not completely 0 to a 2. That's not what the Phat blade is. What it does offer is a few steps that you can skip. You will still need to use a different blade if you want to bald out to the bald line, blade open, and maybe just a little bit more than that. But this is a 1A. So this is, let's say if you're doing the mid fade and you want to start using your 1 guard, this will probably take over that space. So I'm just going to leave that because I got to talk about some things about this. When it comes to the Wezteck, this is said to be completely 0. I'm going to give this measurement closer to like a blade open, adjustable, a regular adjustable, let's say like a regular adjustable blade open. I'm going to say that it's more closer in range to that, maybe like halfway, but it's not completely like 0 gap. Now, can you gap it that way? You can, but I don't think that's where it performs the best. Now, you are still going to be using like the blade halfway open to the bald line. Now, you can start out your bald line with this, very much so, you know what I mean? It'll give a softer bald line, and you can fade all the way up to a number 2 guard. Now, this is all the way up to 6.3 as well. Now, that's not a problem. It does give you more range. I do like that it does give you more range, and you can perform more of the fade with this compared to this blade. So for a beginner, they'll probably pick this up quicker than this. And there's a few reasons why this is probably not best for a beginner. So let's talk about a few things that I think that's really going to be very important if you're going to try these type of blades that have different lengths to them at the same time. This one has 18 teeth. I do like how this does cut I do feel like it has like a comb type of feel to it. When I say a comb, all of the blades have like a comb kind of feel, just depending on how many teeth they have. But this one is like that generic spacing of a comb. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but just the gaps between the teeth, it feels like, you know, when you're combing down waves or combing down the hair, there's a certain comb that you probably use. That gap between the teeth, I feel like this Wezteck blade offers. Now, these has 24 teeth, smaller teeth, more fine tuning, more detailing, more of that nature, right? Now, that's going to give you a nicer, like smoother, give you more of a nice, smoother blends, pick up a little bit more hairs than this. But this one didn't have problems doing that either as well, because I honestly believe that the cutting blade on this actually helps with that. That's the teeth. So let's talk about the performance and the functionality of these blades. The reason why I say this is good for beginners and, you know, advanced barbers and stuff like that. Advanced barber can probably do a lot of skip steps with this. A beginning barber, if they are just working on blending foundational things, understanding what a real true tool can do, and going all the way down to a soft, like adjustable clipper halfway open. If this is like a very nice, clean, safe, like clipper blade to have. This, I cannot say is safe in a sense. This is, you know, your technique, you know, your angle. It requires more skill. This you can easily mess up quicker with if you don't know how to angle, because of the fact that the thickness is such in a short, you know, like length, that it's like a drastic bump. You got to know every small measurement. Like, you got to know each and every small measurement, or maybe not each and every small measurement, but you got to know how to angle it on the head is what I'm trying to say. Because if you angle it on the head a certain way, you're changing the measurement, like significantly, you know? So if somebody wants waves and they want a number 2, you got to know that you know how to stay at the hump of this clipper and not tilt in. If you tilt in, yeah, you could be changing the angle. You could be changing the length of the wave. So this requires more technique and skill. This one does not. Now, here's somewhat of the, now that was a con for the Phat blade. Here's a con for the Wezteck. If you have somebody that has different types of hairstyles, right? Let's say they have braids up top, or twist up top, or locks up top, right? But they have a fade that they want to do on the sides and the back. Now, let's say they want a 2 on the sides and everything, you know, under that just faded out. The length of this, when you're going up into that area where the blades, I mean, where the braids or the locks or the twists sit at, this is so, like, you don't have much room. Like, this much space could be missing that you will have to avoid. I would easily pick this up, since it's a smaller area, smaller blade. Like, you will see that you can get to that tight spot a lot better with the Phat blade compared to the Wezteck. So some people will literally just use this type of blade just for stuff like that. I definitely would, especially if, because I'm not trying to dig into the braids or the twists. I'm not trying to affect anything. Even if I have it tied up, it still can get into like where the braid is laying down at. This can get into it if their hair is done that way. So this will be a better blade to have for real tight spots, because you don't need that much space. So if the braids is laying right here, you don't need that much space. Like, you can get to your 2 and you're not digging into nothing. By the time this cutting blade gets to where it needs to cut at the length of the 2, you have so much of the blade over. So anyway, that's one of the downfalls when it comes to the Wezteck, is due to, when it comes to tight spaces, just the length of the blade in itself it's not going to help. Now, if you are using not a 2, and let's say you're using like a 1.5 or a 1 or a 0.5, you're perfectly fine, because now you're only using this much of the blade. But if you're using a full extended blade, by the time you get to that cutting blade, this is the length that you have. So with this one, it requires more technique, more skill. You're going to have to know how to bevel this blade, how to go up or down or keep it flat, because of the thickness. Like, it can and will change on you if you do not. Now, there's some barbers that know how to use this very well. A lot of OG barbers know how to use this Phat blade like it's no problem. But I can actually see how this could be a problem for somebody that's trying to learn how to use this blade. Like, the fact that this came out, it kind of takes away that learning curve of how to angle. But at the same time, I think it's a healthy skill to learn, knowing how to angle your clipper and all that other jazz. I'm just not saying that you should learn it on the fat blade, because you can do some damage. You could. I'm not saying that you always will, but you could. And with this, it's more safer. It's more safer. You got the measurements right there. So when it comes to like what blade will win, I honestly think that, you know, starting out with the Wezteck, it just makes more sense. Now, this is a blade you can buy by itself. It's $45 to $50. Until they come out with this separately, you have to buy the whole clipper. So I believe they are coming out with blades separately soon. I'll probably say hopefully within the next few months. We'll see. When it comes to like usage wise on a clipper, you'll get more bang for your buck on how this performs compared to the fat blade. They both have a crunch, and I have to say this crunch is louder and it is crispy and clean. I'm not mad at the 18 teeth. I do believe they got a new blade coming out that has more teeth, so that will probably be even more of a healthy comparison with the 24 teeth of the fat blade. So that's my video. I want to let y'all know my thoughts on that. I would say that the Wezteck blade definitely has an up on the fat blade. So anything that's shaped like this, I can see how the Wezteck will still be the winner in like everyday usage. Tight spots, this blade's better. But overall, this blade's better. That's what I got for y'all when it comes to these blades. All right, y'all be blessed. I'll see y'all in the next video.
CTB, you know who it is.